my granddaughter.
That's your granddaughter? Okay. Hello, family. How are you?
Okay,
All right. I am excellent. All right. Brother Kaba. No doubt. All right.
Hello, this is everyone. This is Brother Kaba Kamene, also known as Booker T. Coleman Jr. And he's our speaker for tomorrow. Brother Kaba, this is the owner of our restaurant here. It's Jacqueline Stitz.
Hello, my sister. How are you? I'm in the right place because I love coffee.
Yeah.
Me and Malcolm, we love coffee. Malcolm X had a thing for coffee too. So I know I'm in the right place. Nobody told me this was a coffee and tea boutique. If I had known that, I would have been here on time. No doubt. Thank you, my sister, for letting us be here. I appreciate it.
We have made a transition into white America in the last 50 years. And in politics, the whole 9 years. Are we serious, though? I guess my question becomes, are we really serious about looking for our children? Here we are, second largest people in this country. And we're not creating our own educational system. Yes, we are really serious. I've gotten to the point in my 80 years on this earth. Blacks aren't serious. They look for someone to blame, and that's the extent of it. If we were serious, we would not allow we're never going to win this battle in the public school system. Okay, I don't care how you. I mean, there are going to be individuals come out, but the bulk of our kids are being turned against us. This is the strategy of white America throughout the world. You take minority groups, as they call them, the people of color, and you turn one against the other. In this city right now, we have probably 6, 7 different groups that are opposed to each other that we did not have 60 years ago in this city. We weren't so into what we're into. So my question becomes, first, we have 200, a friend of mine went out and did a survey, 250 black churches in Buffalo. We could have our own school system. Right there. You know, I know you probably ran across in some other cities, and I just want to get your feedback on what do you think? We could be more like the Catholics in the sense that we create our own school system and educate our own kids, get control back because they're not going to control our children. Okay? So I just want to get your feedback on that. And I'm going to have to leave in a minute, though, but not because of anything you said, just because you know, I don't let you know where I have to be somewhere.
Because I'm about to say something. It might just be.
No, go ahead.
Elder brother, I'm looking for 3 out of 100 of us.
Yeah.
I have good news and I have bad news. Dr. King was right. We are going to get to the promised land.
One way or the other.
That's the good news.
Yes.
The bad news, a lot of us ain't going to make
Most of us not.
it. I'm looking for 3 out of 100.
I said most of us.
I'm through with conversion.
Right.
I'm through with conversion. If I have to convince you of what I'm saying, there's nothing I can say that would ever convince you. If I don't need to convince you, then I don't need to say anything. Let's just get it on.
The final thing, what are we converting into?
We are.
The point is, are we becoming black Anglo-Saxons? I mean,
I think we're becoming more lost because Anglo-Saxons are lost.
okay.
See, I don't have a lot of faith in them. I don't see them as professionals. I do not think they know how to educate. I don't think that they are educated. I think that they base themselves on their material wealth, which eventually will destroy them. I think that from the moment they were born, they began to die. I think they're on a suicide mission because I've often said, even if they got rid of all the black folk in the world, after all the black folk and all the people of color were gone, they'd start to kill each other, which they're already doing.
Sound like Dick Gregory.
And then when they got down to the last man, because it would be a last man, he commits suicide. And so what I say to our people is that we are either going to do this, and I'm looking for 3 out of 100. Right now, to me, this room is overcrowded. I don't look for large numbers. I've given presentations to Elder Brother where there's 2 people in the room, and one of them is the next speaker. So you know how many people I'm talking to. I've done other presentations where there's 500 people in the room, and by the end of the presentation, I wish a 498 never showed. So I still got my 2 people. I'm not interested in large numbers. Nations aren't built with large numbers of people. They're built by people with commitment. And I think that this computer, this internet, Facebook, when used properly, can unite us. when used properly, can unite us all around the world. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that, as you say, I remember when Whitney Houston funeral, and I've been in that community before. And I know that if you look at, let's say, a mile square of that neighborhood where that church was, where she was, that they have probably about 35 churches, not one school. So while we as adults are saving our souls on Sunday, our children are running amok and selling drugs.
Monday.
And so we have to come to a conclusion. Are we serious about this? And that's where I'm coming from. Are we serious? And I come to talk to the people who are serious. My family taught me about my African American history, but my Hispanic community taught me about my African history. The challenge has become, just like Elder Brother was talking about as of late, it's a funny thing that what integration did to us in creating these pockets of survival for us to fight each other. I have noticed that the great majority, I am the faculty advisor for the Malik fraternity, which is Malcolm's fraternity. It's been around since 1975.
That's Malik Sigma Psi?
Malik, yeah.
Yep.
I'm the faculty on New Paltz.
Okay, they were on my campus when I was back in school.
Then you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Yep.
On our campus, you could not pledge if you didn't take my class on Malcolm. I was present when they would do their walking.
Oh, okay.
The last 3 classes that I went through, all of the people that walked through were Dominicans, because they found their Africanness with me. And that is because I believe that when you look at Africa as it's being taught, as it's being presented to us, Africa is looked upon as a primitive place, a place of denigration, a place of poverty. And very few human beings, particularly children, want to identify with failure. But when you present information to a community in a way that makes them proud, it changes their view towards that place. And when they find out what Africa is about, they will volunteer to be African. And until we get to the point where we take, as you're saying, the education of our children into our own hands. See, I don't look for validation to anyone else but my people. And I let folk know I don't need their validation. In fact, not only do I not look for it, I don't want it. When the community validates me, when my community validates me, unashamedly, unapologetically, I'm African. And I'm not making excuses. I am not going to make us into a people that we're not, but I certainly am not going to make us into a people that we are not. And by matter of degree, my sister, we are all asleep. We're all asleep. And, you know, I use the analogy that when someone is asleep and you're getting the house ready, sometimes you might resent them for being asleep while you're doing all the work. And you might want to wake them up. But you know, when you wake up somebody that's not ready to wake up, they start getting in your way, and you're looking for the hammer to hit them over the head to knock them back to sleep. But if you just let them continue to sleep while we get our house together, when they wake up, just their consciousness alone, they're going to want to help you do what you got to do. And I see it in our people frequently. There are people who I would never have thought would be into this information. They're all up in it now. And I think Hidden Colors has touched a chord. Hidden Colors has done something that, for me, having gone through this process, I'm a student of Dr. Clark, John Henry Clark, been a student of his for a very, very long time. I met him, I was 12 and a half. I wasn't always up underneath him when I was very young, but as I became late teens and in my 20s, and as I moved into my career, he and I became closer. And I know that I have watched this change and what we can do realistically. While we're aiming at that school to build, we need after-school programs. We need to start, that's realistic. We can do that. They already exist. All we got to do is bring the curriculum into them.
Right.
That's all we got to do. It's already made.
Yeah.
The independent schools that we need, the children that we would want to bring, come from families that financially cannot afford to keep an independent school in place.
Right.
And so if the bulk of children we're trying to draw to our school cannot come for financial reasons, then who is it that would be coming to our school? We might miss our mark and bring the wrong, not the wrong children, but we'll bring children who are not our aim for who we want to bring. But if we have an after-school program, and here's what I found out. You know Sylvan's, it's a learning center.
Right.
They have a commercial on TV.
We have one
Yeah.
here.
You have one here? Okay, I worked for Sylvan's a while back. I was the spook who sat by the educational door. And I always tell people I was there watching everything that they did, and I saw what they did. They meet maybe 3 times a week, maybe 2 hours, give or take. And in this commercial, this little boy throws a skateboard across the floor. And mother says, I told you no skateboarding in the house. But on the skateboard is the boy's report card. And so mother picks the report card up and says, oh wow, look at this. You're getting A's. I knew taking you to Sylvan would work. Now I have a problem with that. Because if Sylvan meets children 6 times a week and can get them A's and the child's in a board of ed for 35 hours a week, they forget the 35 hours, just go 6 hours Sylvan. Which tells me that, and I tell this because in an after-school program, we can effectively educate our children. I teach test taking. This test, you can take care. That's the lowest level of knowing anything anyway. This standardized test, this is a money-making venture. We could teach our children how to max out on those tests. And I do test-taking skills and how to teach. A test does not question. The thing that you're battling on a standardized test is not what you know. What you're battling is the time they gave you to know it. So I teach children time management, how to manage your time. Because if they gave you a test and gave you all weekend to do it, barring cheating and asking people answers, chances are people would probably get a very good score if you had the whole weekend. Well, when someone gives you 50 questions and says you have 60 minutes, what you're battling is not the 50 questions. It's the 60 minutes that they gave you to know it. So if you utilize a time management process, which I call introducing yourself to the test. See, now we're not even talking about African curriculum right now. We're talking about playing this game. We need to learn how to play this game. And once we learn how to play this game, we will do in the classroom what Michael Jordan did in the basketball court. And what Tiger Woods did on the golf course. Cabalasian and all, I know. But Tiger Woods had game until he got caught up in something. He should have left alone.
Right.
Okay. He should have left that stuff alone. Okay. But he liked his calendar. So the brother got problems. And that's what happens when you go down that road, when you forget who you are.
Right.
And unfortunately, he lived a life of forgetting who he was every day that he lived.
Yeah.
But you can't take away his game on that golf course. He was about to become the greatest threat the golf course ever saw. Until he got caught up in something he should have left alone. The Williams sisters has changed tennis. Not just the way women play it, but the way men play it.
Right.
It just changed it. Now, that is because of melanin. And what I am saying is that when we start to use our melanin in the classroom, our children will become so intelligent, the teacher will not be able to ask the question because they will not know the answer to the question that the children will be able to answer. And my evidence is Malcolm. If you watch Malcolm, when somebody asks him a question, Malcolm, if you ask Malcolm a question, he would answer the third question he could foresee you asking. When he answered the third question, he knocked the questioner off because the questioner was trying to formalize his second question. And when Malcolm knocked that reporter off, that's when Malcolm would start hitting him with information, and that's when we watching that would start learning. He was a master at his intellect and how he handled it. Our children are like this. That's why we get so upset with them, because they fast talk us. That's the bottom line why we're so upset about them. Because they're so intelligent and they're messing with our minds. Because we're still thinking like Europeans. And they're deep inside that African thought process. So I've come to talk about this And tomorrow we're gonna get deep inside it because I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about tomorrow. And I'm gonna show you not through theory, not through books I've read, but my experiences with our children in the classroom, where I am convinced that they are what's called indigo children. Y'all ever heard the term indigo children?
Yes, I am.
Okay, educators may have heard it. Indigo children, what are they, my sister, please? I'll
I
let
don't
you.
remember.
Geniuses. They're geniuses.
They are.
Indigo, I've had 7 indigo children in my career. And the one thing that they all had in common is the adults hated them. Because they have a very serious problem with authority.
Right.
Because they believe they know more than the adults. Now, they do. But there are areas where they're still children. And that's what they're wrestling with.